Business Unity South Africa has gone to court over the new employment equity sector targets that came into effect in the country this month. The business lobby group saying it's not opposed to transformation and the principle of sectoral targets. However, the current process that was followed was flawed, it was rushed and risks undermining the very goal of workplace equity. I'm now joined by Khulekani Mathe, the CEO of BUSA himself. Khulekani, thanks so much for your time. So you have stated categorically that BUSA is not opposed to transformation. So why then did you feel that legal action was unavoidable in this case, sir?
Thank you for the opportunity, Fifi. And just to make it absolutely clear from the onset that we did not take the decision to go to court lightly. It was taken after numerous attempts to engage with the department with a view to find a resolution to some of the concerns that we have. It was only when those attempts were unsuccessful that we approached the court. So we have exhausted attempts to engage. Our papers demonstrate the number of times that we've written to the minister and the department, raising concerns and not getting satisfactory answers, in some instances, no answers at all. And so really it was the fact that we were not getting joy that we've approached the court. Ideally, we would like to resolve all differences through engagement with government.
And since then, it has become news that you have approached the courts to try and find a way forward. I'm just wondering whether you have heard from the Department of Labour subsequently.
Well, we only filed our application this morning, and so we haven't had any correspondence from the department since filing our application this morning.
All right. So you say as I said, that you're not opposed to transformation. We do know that the Labour Department and government is trying to accelerate it by all means that are possible. So maybe just talk to us about what a due process looks like by way of how you see it.
So I think we need to separate, because this is what has been said to us by the department a number of times when we raised this very question of insufficient consultation. They referenced a whole lot of meetings that took place in previous years, going as far back as 2018. The fact of the matter is that the law that empowers the minister to set sectoral target only came into effect on the 1st of January 2025. That law, Section 15, capital A of that law, sets out the process that must be followed in setting the targets, including the kind of consultation that needs to happen before the targets are actually published. What happened here was that the targets were published and we were given 1 week's sort of consultation or with 1 week within which to give our views. In some instances, we got the document a night before the meeting, which was obviously insufficient. Now, the department is confusing what happened before the law came into effect and what needs to happen when the law comes into effect. It's almost the same as saying that a goal that is scored when the teams are out in the field, I'm talking soccer here, warming up before the match, that a goal scored there must count as one of the goals in the real match. This is what the department is contending.
Okay, no, I followed the analogy there quite closely, and thanks for making it clear. Outside of the process, though, there are some aspects in how equity or how government is trying to achieve employment equity and transformation as a whole that you are in perhaps maybe a disagreement with. And so maybe just talk to us about that, because you do argue that the targets as they stand are potentially misaligned with some sector realities. What do you mean? What do you mean by that, and what could a better form or shape look like?
So the natural consequence of not following due process and taking the views of affected parties is that the department has come up with targets that are actually irrational. There is no data, at least clear data provided of how they arrived at those targets. I'll give you an example. The department uses what is referred to as the economically active population to determine the target. So it's the same as saying, well, there are X number of people in the population, and therefore, there are people that you should employ. What that does not answer is, do those people have the requisite skills that are required, the requisite experience, et cetera, et cetera? Now, in an economy that has a skills challenge, in an economy where the education system continues to fail to produce the skills that are required by industry, and in an economy in which the skills development system is completely dysfunctional, to not take into account the availability of skills is what makes these targets that the minister has come up with irrational and flawed.
So I'm sure you are aware also, Khulekani, that critics may say that the business may potentially be hiding behind the process argument to avoid the tough targets. How do you respond to that?
We most definitely do not avoid tough targets. We want targets, though, that are rational so that they are achievable. To simply come up with targets without any defensible methodology does, run the risk of setting targets that are unachievable if with even the best effort and best interest, So that's what we are trying to avoid, because the consequence of not fulfilling the targets are that you would then not, get the certificate of compliance, and there are all manner of consequences that also flow from not receiving a certificate of compliance from the department. So you don't want well-meaning businesses that really want to achieve transformation to essentially be made non-compliant by virtue of failure to apply good mathematics at, working out the numbers and following the right process.
Yeah. Should we be concerned about businesses' relationship with government going forward? I mean, there's this court case, which I do know is also one of many others that are in the system, risk damaging what does seem to be a relationship that looks like it is strengthening from us looking at it on the outside.
On the contrary, in fact, Fifi, what we're doing here is we want, a transformation and equity policies that are workable, so that you do not allow those who are against transformation to find reason to not comply. That is why we want things to be done properly, so that we can actually achieve transformation. And as it relates to the broader partnership between government and business, I mean, we have effective partnership which demonstrates that when we work together, we can achieve results, rather than pulling in different directions and not taking each other's concerns into account. We think more can be achieved if we engage more and take everybody's concerns into account.
All right. Khulekani, thanks so much for taking the time to discuss this with us. As you have indicated, it's early days or early times still, just given the fact that the court filing already happened this morning. We still await the response from the government, the Department of Labour, and also the developments on how this eventually unfolds. But I was in conversation with Khulekani Mathe, CEO at Business Unity South Africa.